Today we're going to be creating activities and adding them into these WBSs.
One beats on Lake Jack.
Hello, JD Obat here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is a continuation of our P6 tutorial series, and today we're going to be adding new activities to a project. Last time we created a whole new project, and this time we want to move forward into adding activities. In order to add activities, we need WBSs, which is the work breakdown structure, which is like I explained in my other videos how a work breakdown structure is like a Windows document where you have to open up to see other documents in it before you get to the actual one you want to get to. So a WBS is like a summary of your whole activities. So today we're going to be creating activities and adding them into these WBSs. And that's not all. We're going to be linking these activities because they need to move sequentially. We are going to be linking these activities so they move sequentially or they drive each other sequentially. And in order to do that, we have to have predecessors and successors. And when we add these activities into the program, we would have to link them together so they move sequentially, which means they have to have predecessors and successors. And we can link them in different ways. They are called relationships. In order to get the activities moving logically, we have to link them together. That means they're going to have predecessors and successors. There are different ways how we can link these activities to move logically. We can either link them as an FF, which is a finish to finish, an SS, which is a start to start, an FS, a finish to start, or an SF, a start to finish. But I'll explain further when we get into our P6 interface. Let's go into it. Welcome back to my P6 interface. Today we're going to be going into building offices and adding activities for this project. I'm going to right click and open up the project. In order to keep our work organized and linked properly, we are going to be creating WBSs for every part of the project. You can notice me looking left and right. In my previous videos, I've mentioned that I use more than one screen because sometimes I need information from a different document, which is what I'm doing right now. I need information about this building offices from a different document in a different screen. So I'm going to be looking left and right a lot. Anyways, let's get into it. Let's create a WBS. In order to create a WBS, you come to the left-hand side of your interface where you have these two blue squares, and it literally, when you highlight on each of them, it tells you the name of what you're looking for. Here is for activities, but this one is for WBS, this one on the left hand side here. And if I click it, it creates a whole new layout called WBSs, and here I can now add new WBSs. I'm going to right click and add a new WBS. It's going to feed under the title of the project, which is building offices. I'm going to call this building offices, so BO, building offices 100. So this is going to be our title, and we're going to name it site preparation. You know, when you're in construction, you need to site prep. I'm going to add 5 more WBSs, and then we're going to add the activities. You can either right click and just keep adding like I'm doing here. We've created one WBS called site preparation, and I mentioned we're going to be creating 6. And the 6 WBSs will be split into site preparation, foundation, the superstructure of the building offices, the MEP, which is the mechanical and engineering parts installation, the finishing, and then the handover of the project. So these are the 6 WBSs we're going to be creating. But each of these WBSs would have activities within them. And we can add a new WBS by either coming on the right hand side here as well and clicking and adding a new WBSs, and we're going to name this foundation. Now, food for thought. Anywhere you highlight before you add a WBS, the WBS goes underneath that highlight and it becomes a subsection of what you've highlighted. For example, I highlighted site preparation before adding a new WBS, and it made site preparation a subsection of, it made foundation a subsection of site preparation, but that's not what we want. We want foundation to be a phase on its own. So in order to do that, you highlight on foundation, and if you come on the right hand side of your toolbar, you can see where the arrows push it out into the main list of things. In order to not repeat this itself, we go to the main building office to add anytime we want to add a new activity, so it goes under that. So I'm going to add a couple more. I'm going to use the 2 ways to add by right clicking. We've added a new one here. It's called superstructure, which is going to be the superstructure of the construction process. The superstructure. But notice, because I just added it directly to the first to the main building office EPS, it's taking it above, but that's not what we want. We want it to come after the foundation because there's a sequence at which the construction is going to go. Same thing, you come to the right hand side of your project of your interface and click the right down arrow to take it exactly where you want to be. I renamed this 100, but I'm gonna take it out, BO 100, and we're gonna just leave the name of 200 YT 200. Now we're going to add 3 more EPSs. I'm going to right click and add. I say EPSs, 3 more WBSs. I'm going to bring it down. So a WBS code, like you see on the right hand side, can be generated for you, or you can decide to code or rename your WBS code. For me, I tried to rename one of them, but it just messed everything up. So I'm just going to leave it as it is. And I'm going to change all of this to capital letters just because it looks good. Superstructure. We have to go back to the activity layout, which is right on the top here. Activity layout. Back at the activity section, I've noticed a mistake. Yes, we've made a mistake and we have to fix it. I noticed that the handover the WBS is within the finishing WBS and the foundation WBS is within the site prep. But I thought I changed that. Well, I did change it. So sometimes when you work on a different layout and you will have to refresh the P6 interface for it to actually take in your command. So we'll come to file here. We can do a refresh data and everything goes back to the way it's supposed to be. This is the learning curve. It just happens. I'm going to open this up. But this shows that we do not have activities. We have 0 activities in our project. So we're going to try to add activities in each of these WBSs. Let's start from the site preparation. In order to add an activity to a WBS, you have to click and highlight on the WBS you want to add this new activity into. So we want to add to site preparation, and we're going to start with site clearance. There are 2 ways as well, just like I've been explaining. You either right click and just add a new activity where you have activity ID automatically created for you, and then a new activity line where you can rename it to what you want. And we're going to be calling this site clearance. Add activities is by coming back to the right hand side where we have the addition key, where we have every time we want to add an activity, we go here, but this takes you through a different process. You're going to right click. It's going to give you this. It's going to give you an activity. It's going to give you a pop-up that's going to make you either rename your activity here, and this one we're going to call site surveys. Here you can change the activity ID. Right now the activity ID is moving sequentially and increasing by 10 every time you add a new activity. If you notice over here, site clearance starts from A1000, and now this new activity we're about to add is going to go 10 digits higher, and it's going to be A1010. If you go next, it asks you where you want to put the activity. If you want to change the activity from the work breakdown structure that it is, you can decide to put in the site surveys in any of the other WBS. But we're going to keep it in the site preparation WBS. And then we're going to go next. It's going to ask you if it's a task-dependent activity or if it is a milestone-dependent activity. So this comes in when you have a milestone of a start and a finish date of an activity. A milestone activity. I think we're going to keep this as a task-dependent activity, and then we're going to do activity that is a milestone activity. We're going to leave it as a task-dependent because it's going to be linking to other tasks. Next, and then it's going to ask you if you should assign resources, but today's tutorial is not about assigning resources, but this longer process shows you that you can assign resources, and you can decide to choose from either electrical, paint, executive, generate, whatever you think, whatever resources you can add to it. We're not adding it for this section. We're going to add it in other sections. I'm going to go next, and you also have a point of the durations that you want. If you want it to be a fixed duration, unit, or a time, this is all going to be in future lessons. But we're just going to finish it up here, and we've added a new activity. I'm going to add a little bit more activities into site preparation, and then we can go into linking the activities. So I'm going to add a couple more activities quickly. Another way to add an activity is by copying and pasting. So now you've already added 2 activities. You don't want to always right click or always like go to this right hand key to keep going through the long process. You can right click on this activity, copy it and paste it on the WBS that you want it to be. And then you have a new activity. It's a copy and paste, so you have the same name. However, you can just rename it into the new activity of, let's say, excavation for foundation. Let's use that. And copying and pasting is very relevant when you've already added all of the resources and all of that, and you don't want to go into the same process. Maybe the activity you're trying to copy and paste for is going to be have the same resources, have the same amount of money and stuff. But that's why I don't always copy and paste, in case the activity I'm copying into doesn't have the same resources. If you copy and paste it, everything you've put together in that copied activity is going to be pasted in the next one. What do I mean? I mean that if you see here for the resources, if I add a resource and say, let's say painter as a resource, and I put it as 8 days for whatever, of course, painter is not what we need for the site surveys. If I copy the site survey as an activity, and I want to add a new activity called pour concrete, right click and I paste it. And I rename it to pour concrete. I have copied not just the site survey name, I've also copied the resources that was in site surveys. This is why copying and pasting is not always the best idea, unless you are 100% sure that what you are copying and pasting is necessary for the new activity you're building, or you remember to change all of it. So I'm going to just take out that resource that is not needed for the pour concrete. Yes, all the site surveys, we don't need it right now, so I'm going to take it all out. Yes. So you can just add all of these activities, then go back and start adding resources and money and whatever it is that you have for the information for that particular activities. In the meantime, I'm just going to add the activities, and then we can build on them in the future. So we have site survey. I'm going to add a couple more. We have raised columns, electrical wiring. So I'm just going to right click, paste, raised columns, paste, add electrical wiring, I'm going to leave it at that for now, just so that we get ongoing electrical wiring, but there's going to be a little bit more. So let's go into linking these activities, because as you see now, they are not even chronologically linked. Don't know if that's the right word. They're not linked according to the way the project is going to happen. But we all know that, your project manager is going to let you know how it's going to go. We're going to start with the site clearance. We're going to start with the site surveys. So technically, this is our first activity. But as you can see now, it's not the first activity on our list. So we're going to organize this by linking these activities. And the best way to link these activities is by coming down to your, what's this place called? I called it the last time, sorry. Okay, the best way to link this site clearance to its next activity is by coming down to the details part. Okay, the best way to link this activity to its next activity is by coming down to the details part of the interface, which is below here, and coming to a successor link. You see how you have a successor link here? Yes, we have a successor link, and then we're going to assign an activity. Once you click on the assign, it gives you a list of all of the activities that you have in your project, and then you link it to the activity you want it to be its successor. As the name says, a predecessor and a successor. So I'm linking it to the site surveys because the site surveys happen next. So we click on it, we say site survey is going to be next. We're going to go to the site survey. We're going to assign the site survey to the next activity, which is going to be the excavation. Click on it. We go to the excavation of foundation. The next activity is going to be pouring the concrete. Assign, pour concrete. We go to pour concrete. The next activity is going to be raising the columns. We raise the columns. We go to raising of the columns, and the next activity is going to be electrical wiring. I'm going to assign that to, as a successor, and electrical wiring. And then we're going to schedule this activity. Right now, we're saying everything has an original duration of 5 days, that everything is going to take 5 days, which is unlikely because there are different durations for different activities. So we're going to just change these activities, the duration of these activities, very quickly. I'm going to give site clearance 3 days duration. I'm going to give the surveys 2 days. Excavation, I'm going to assume it's going to take 4 days. And then let's make the pouring of the concrete 2 days. And then raising of the columns, we're going to give that 3 days. And then electrical wiring, we're going to give that as well 3 days. Electrical wiring, I'm going to give that 3 days. Now is the most important part. We are going to schedule our project. You can schedule the project by right-clicking. Did I say right-clicking? Oh, no. You can schedule the project by pressing F9 or coming to your toolbar up here and going to, is it tools or enterprise? No. Yeah, sorry. You can schedule this project to make it organized. Okay. The next thing we're going to do now is to schedule this project. We're scheduling this project in order for everything that we've just done to update. P6 saves as it goes, but in order for you to get the sequence of stuff that you just did, to see the impact of the work that you just did, you have to schedule it. So we're going to schedule it by coming over here to the tools, to the toolbar that says tools here. Clicking on it, and you're going to have the schedule key up here. You can either click on it, as you can see, it says F9. You click on it to press F9, or you can press F9 on your laptop, on your keyboard, or you can come over here on the same toolbar where I told you everything is listed out and have the option of just clicking on the schedule. So we're going to schedule. You're going to have the option of changing the data date, but I'm going to keep the data date as it is, which is the 2nd of May, and we're going to schedule this. This has moved all of our activities into their different durations and based on when they start. Notice that site clearance is still below, and this is just because the columns have not been filtered right. So if you click on the filtered column here, you can get the sequence of how the activities are going to start. I don't know if I explained that properly. Oh my god. Anyways, we've scheduled the program now, and this is now linking sequentially, starting from the site clearance, the site surveys, all the way down to electric wiring, and it is following the duration that we've given it. We put in here 3 days for the site clearance, so we've moved from the 2nd of May to the 6th of May. We put in here 2 days for the site survey, so starting from the day after the 6th of May, we have the 7th of May and the 8th of May for the 2 days duration. Same for the excavation foundation, starting from the 9th of May, it is linked all the way to the 14th of May because these are the number of durations that we've put in. Cool. Now let me show you the Gantt chart and how this looks in the link. So we're in 2025, so of course, yeah, this is where we are. 2025, it shows how the site clearance links all the way to the site surveys. The site surveys link all the way to the excavation, and it just shows the link of these activities. Presently, right now, we are not on the 2nd of May. So technically, it's showing that we've gone past the 2nd of May, but we haven't actually started our project because, yeah, when I'm recording this is after May. So I'm going to explain that in a bit. So I'm going to try to zoom out of the of the P6 so we can actually see where the line sets. The line is saying that we are in the second week of May. However, we are saying that our activity should have started on the 1st of May. I don't know how to make this any more smaller. Yeah, this, there we go. That being said, our Gantt chart is showing how our activities are being linked to one another based on the plan that we have as to when they are going to start and finish. Now let's go into the relations, which is the finish to start link and the start to finish link that I was talking about in the beginning. So right now we have site clearance finishing before site survey starting. That's why the dates always start after an activity finishes. But if we link the activities in a different way, the dates would change. Now let's see, site surveys and excavation for foundation. If we decide to put the site surveys and the foundation excavation to start on the same day, we would have to link that. If you notice down here, we have to link that in a different way and make it an FF, which is, no, not FF, make it an SS, which is a start to start. This means that I want my excavation of a foundation to start the same time as my site surveys. I have put in that link now, and then I'm going to schedule again so that this updates. Schedule. And it's updated. If you notice, site surveys was supposed to start on the 7th of May, and now excavation is starting on the 7th of May as well. This has pulled back the dates of everything. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm going to do that again. So we're going to take it back to the way it was before. It was an FS link. I'm going to update it. If you notice, electrical wiring was set to start on the 22nd of May and finish on the 26th of May. But when we link the site surveys and the excavation to start on the same day by changing the relations to an SS, to scheduling it to update all of this information, notice now, electrical wiring is no longer finishing on 26th of May. It's now finishing on 22nd of May because we've pulled our excavation of our foundation to start at the same time as the site surveys. So they both start on the 7th of May. However, the site surveys finish on the 8th of May, but the excavations would continue till their duration is over to the 12th of May. This has pulled back all of the dates. So this is how the activities in P6 are linked. They are linked with predecessors and successors and stuff driving one another. And when one is impacted, it impacts the rest of them. They are linked together. So I don't know if I've explained it as clearly as possible, but this is how you add activities to the program. This is how you link the activities by having predecessors and successors. And this is how we either link them as a finish to finish, a start to start, or a start to finish. And this is just for the first phase of the project. And there you have it. That's how you add activities to your program, and that's how you link them to one another with relations, either a finish to finish, a start to start, anyhow you would want the program to be. But before the next time, I'm going to add all of the activities to foundation and finishing and all of that. I'm going to add all of the activities to the program, and then we're going to carry on with creating a baseline, and then we're going to be creating a layout in order for us to see the difference between today's work and next week's work. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and ask any questions you have. I'm very open to responding to comments. So thank you very much for your time. Bye.